that's when it all went to crap, was once we were streaming. And we are streaming now.
We're streaming
So,
now.
hi everybody, it's Katie Harris, owner and CEO. Am I? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we
Oh
can.
my God, so
Hi,
annoying.
everybody. Hi,
Okay.
everybody. I'm Jill Weberning. I'm CEO and founder of Nurse Assure.
All right.
Is there a delay,
and what are we talking about today? There must be a delay. Can you hear
me?
me?
Yes. Yeah. Hey, Joe Neal. Hey, Joe Neal, and whoever else is on here today. If you've got an Innergame topic, pop it in the comments, and we are happy to run with it. Because otherwise, Katie and I are just gonna pick something random. Let's start out. Actually, let's just start out because this question didn't come up. In fact, I got a message today about it. Oh, you'll type in the comments too. Question came up today about somebody who was, starting out their program, and they were concerned that they didn't have this huge number of people. And so they were worried. They were starting to feel anxious, getting into the fear and the doubt of what happens if, what are people going to think? Why aren't there 20 people in this this cohort or this program? Or why isn't there 50 people? Why isn't, they were getting caught up in smaller numbers than they expected. And they were afraid then what participants might think. You have any thoughts on that, Katie?
I do. And am I on delay or am I okay?
You're okay.
Okay. So here's my thought. One, I think people have a very misconstrued conception of online courses. And I think that they think that when they do this, they're going to have 100 people sign up. And I had students who literally had 10 students or 11 students sign up, and they were so disappointed. Granted, this was a $3,000 product. So we're talking $30,000 of profit, and they were devastated. And I was like, you got to be effing kidding me.
Oh.
I was really mad, but then I was like, but there's this misconception out there that you market and, and maybe you have no credibility, but even at some of the big marketers, I'm in a course right now with a mega guy, and there's 10 of us in there. So, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to get people to buy online courses. And when you do, you have to be incredibly grateful and thankful that they're there, and you do your best to get them the best results, because that's what will generate more people coming in the next time. Maybe you'll get 4 next time. Maybe you'll get 6 next time. It's one of those things that you have to set the expectations.
Yeah. And I think I 100% agree. And I've seen this as well, either with people that we've worked with together or, separately. And it is this really distorted thinking of expectations, right? Distorted expectations. And truly, they might be still even comparing to some of these big names, and they're thinking of their group programs that, they see there's 400 members or 300 members of this program. But also recognize, one, your price point definitely plays a part of that. So, if you have a higher ticket item, anything that's $2,000 or over, fully expect that will decrease your numbers. I mean, automatically. It's just going to decrease your pool. So you should go into it with that expectation and knowledge, as well as, if you're just starting out and you're comparing yourself, again, we've talked about this multiple times about comparing your beginning to somebody's middle or end. Some of these, 6-7 figure earners have been doing this already for 5 years, and they pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into ads in order to get that number. So again, can't really compare what your results with what their results are when you didn't do the same things, have the same marketing strategy that they did, right? So it is a process. But one of the huge things is managing expectations. We've talked about that multiple times on here. And what I responded was what if I kind of, I ignored a little bit of the negativity because I'm like, oh, there's fear and doubt. Here it comes. It's coming, and I said, well, what would it be like if you focused on the people who did show up, like the people who did purchase and who are in your group? Like, what a great opportunity for them to, be in a small group and get more individualized, attention and focus and in your time. Like, it's a huge score for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to be honest, right, I launched a couple of these with like, these people it's the first time they've launched their course. So they have zero credibility, they have zero testimonials, zero social proof. Like, I had nothing to try and convince the audience that this person was the right person to do it. And that is very, very difficult. So again, going back to that, being grateful for the people that you do get and leveraging, like really over deliver, make sure that they get results, and that will set the stage for the next one.
Yeah. And now all it takes is one student, quite frankly, to have your first testimonial. And that's the beginning of your social proof. And we know, I'm sure all of you who are watching and listening and watching the replay as well, like, what do you do when you're scoping out a program? You start to look for, like, is this person legit? How do I trust them? What's their track record? Where are the testimonials at? You start looking for that social proof. You start scoping them. You might be stalking them out on social media. What's their page look like? Where are they? Do they have YouTube channel? Do they have Instagram? All those things. And when you're starting out, you often have none of that, or you're just baby stepping it. So it's really difficult in the beginning to right out of the gate gain that, unless for some reason you're already established somehow. And we have worked with those nurses too, who essentially have an established business, and now they're just like incorporating a new piece, maybe offering a course online, and so they have a much easier time out of the gate because they've already established some authority and expertise in their group, and they can make those claims and have testimonials already. So it's a different game. But if you're right out of the gate, every opportunity, like, can we just celebrate that you've one, or have your first launch, two, you already have your first customers, and you're about to enter your beta group and get paid for it. You're going to get paid to get testimonials. All you have to do is deliver.
Right. And that's the way to really look at it and really appreciate it. And I totally get it, because the first time I did my launch and I got 4 people to sign up, like, I was devastated, and I was like, this is horrible. I suck. You go through all the emotions and stuff. But at the same time, looking back on that, I was like, wow. And the truth be told is, if you can sell it to one person, 2 people, 3 people, you can sell it to 1,000. It's just you have to build the dream of the field of dreams. Or what was it? What was that movie?
If you build it, they'll come. Like, that's the thing. Like, you're exactly right. Like, that is the huge takeaway. If you were able to sell it to 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 or whatever the number is, it's reinforcing that you have a viable idea. You have something that is filling a gap, solving a problem in the market. You have something that people are interested in. Right? Like, that should be a huge boost of confidence that right out of the gate, your first offer hit, even if it's small numbers. That just means you need to get in front of more people. Maybe you do look at refining your messaging, but it may be simply just a matter of getting that social proof, building up your authority, building up your audience. But like, right out of the gate, you hit it and made sales. Huge. That's a huge win.
Yeah, and you also have to look at it percentage-wise, and it's just like what you're talking about in terms of, how many people actually saw this offer, and for we've had, people show up, and let's say 300 people showed up at a webinar or signed up for a webinar, and if 2 people bought, that's actually right in line with where you should be. And that's where, the sales becomes a math game, but getting qualified people, the type of people that you want on the webinar. You know, the thing isn't to get like 10,000 random
people. No.
Yeah, you know, I'd rather have 100 people that were actually interested in my topic than 10,000 randos.
Yes,
because you'll get, it's just a higher quality audience. But that's something that you know, it's hard to find. It's hard to find you in all the noise. So that's why you have to show up every day and be consistent, even when you think that nobody's watching, nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention. And that's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, because that's really about commitment to yourself, right? Like that's about, it's easy. It's much easier to follow through on a commitment when somebody else is involved. When you're delivering, like, and you always say this, Katie, of like, it's much easier to build something out once you have a paying customer, because now the pressure's on, because you don't want to give that money back, or, you know, you just don't want to go back on your word or to say, okay, sorry, this wasn't quite ready. Like you find a way to get it done. So it is a push, but man, that every day showing up, following through, that's a matter of being committed to yourself and you being self-integral of I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, and being committed to what the vision, being committed to what it is that you actually want, right? You don't just get it. It doesn't just fall in your lap. You're no one's going to hand it to you. You have to do the daily grind. For some of us, it's just considered the daily grind. You have to do the build up to get to where you want to be. Yeah. Do you want to talk about like, oh, and this is perfectly timed, right? Like how perfectly timed is this? I'm afraid of eventually quitting my job and then all my customers going away. I'm also in my head of what it takes to, if it starts to take off, I may not be able to handle it. That's fear of success. Woo! We've had that one before.
It's just got diametrically opposed fears, right? If she quits her job and all the customers go away, but if she doesn't quit her job and she gets all these people and she can't handle it, they're both major problems.
It's fear. It's just fear. You're stuck, my friend, right now, and you're drowning in fear. And what you just told me by that comment is you're afraid either way. You're afraid to be successful and you're afraid you won't be successful. Like, what if I get all these people, right? That's really successful. Why would they suddenly disappear? If you're providing value and you're continuing to grow your customer base, then the likelihood of that need, like that's the question. What need are you filling? Do you think that there is a chance that that need is going to disappear overnight? Because if not, as long as there are problems that need to be solved, there will be a need for problem solvers, which is what we should be aspiring to, right? That's what we should be doing in business. What problem are we solving? But the other side of it is now you're on the flip side of, but what if I get lots and lots of people? And these are the kinds of numbers that, you know, Katie's talking about. We, you know, our distorted thinking, and this is the reptilian brain that does this. And remember, its job is just to keep us safe. So it's just doing its job by putting all these fear and doubts anytime you think about going out of your comfort zone. But that's reptilian brain right there saying like, what if I get, you know, what if I launch my online course and I get 1,000 people? I'll never be able to handle that. Therefore, I'm never going to launch my online course. And here we are to save you from that fear, because Katie and I can guarantee you're not going to get 1,000 people on the first launch. Like it's just, unless you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads, there is no way that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I try and stay away from absolutes. You know, I guess there's a very, very small percentage. It's like winning the lottery. So if you could win the lottery or get 1,000 people in your course, you know, that would be pretty amazing. And
but organically, with no audience, that's never going to happen. You would have to really be intentional and do the math that Katie's talking about percentage-wise to get in front of the right audience and the volume in order to get that. So recognize that if you're going to potentially hit 1,000 people in your online course, you're doing it willingly and knowingly and aggressively. Like you're creating it. It's not going to be a happenstance kind of thing. Like you are aggressively going for that number.
And that's like
things to get it.
Yeah, so like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, when they did their like, and what's his name, Russell Brunson. The trio did a course together, and with all of their millions of followers, not to mention all the affiliates that they had on that program, they maybe got 1,000 people in that course. But you also have to remember the mega bucks that they spent, and a lot of these people that spend, like Jill's saying, $1 million+ on ads to get people into their courses, a lot of them actually break even, or they don't actually make a profit. So a lot of them are struggling desperately to get more and more people into their programs, because they had to spend so much money to get people into them, and it's actually netting a negative return. So
that's all part of the business logistics, right? And knowing your numbers and knowing what it does take. And in the beginning, you don't have to do that, nor would we ever recommend that you go spend, even tens of thousands of dollars on ads. No way would I tell somebody out of the gate to do that on ads. Like, that's why we, in the beginning, you want to make sure that you're hitting your audience, that you know what problem you're solving, that your messaging is nailed down and it's connecting to who you are. So these first couple rounds is really about that. Your first initial rounds are really about tweaking and massaging the message and making sure you're really getting it right before you start to, really attempt hardcore to scale. And you can do that through organic methods. And we talk about that, main traffic generators, all those things in the membership.
Yeah, I mean, if you certainly want to put a rush on it, I would have very clear objectives with paid ads, such as, let me build my list, and let me get my first 1,000 people on a list, and I don't want to do it organically because it's going to take 3 months. I want to take 3 days. Then that's a very clear objective, and you can test out multiple different messages, but you also understand how Facebook works, right? Like, you have to understand all the complexities there, and they're going through massive changes now with what's going on with Apple and iOS 14. So, I mean, I would strongly recommend, if you've never been in the back end of Facebook before, you might want to invest in either a course or an ads manager to get you started.
But again, like, be clear about what your goal is and make sure that goal makes sense for where you are in your business. The reality is, most people starting out, they couldn't handle 1,000 people in their course. Most couldn't even handle 100 people in their course as the very first or second round. So sometimes, again, you get what you're ready for, right? So you prepare and you do your best. But if you're, paying for ads to build your list in a targeted way is a much different objective than paying for ads to sell through a course, right? To actually get people to buy, whether that's a $500 course or $1,000 or $15 or $19.97 or higher, whatever. You got to recognize what it takes in order to hit those. And some of that is, a lot of it is learning, but also is, understanding your price point and your market and the problem that the value you're actually providing and whatever service it is.
Right. And it's important too, like what Jill's saying, like, because with Facebook as well, trying to get them to convert on a lead magnet, you can get lead magnets very inexpensively, right? You could have a $5 or a $10 a day campaign. That would be your minimal cost for list building. But if you want to convert, like, I want somebody to buy something from me, that jumps up immensely, because Facebook's going to work hard to get people to convert. And if they don't convert, you get kind of the bad ad tax, which is, if Facebook doesn't like your ad or people don't convert, they charge you more to show it less. But you could reasonably spend $300 to $500 per conversion. So now you have to make sure that that's what you really, that goal is. Yeah, you don't want to spend to get one person on your email list, $5 maybe, but not even $5, like $1 to get somebody on your email list, versus $200 to $300 to $500 to convert them to some kind of offer that you have out there.
Yeah. And then once you have them on your list, now you build know, like, and trust. And you can do that through your email sequence and, tagging them, saying, hey, as you continue to build out social media platforms, or you start a YouTube channel, you start a podcast, you're on a podcast interview, now you can start sending them, and that's free. That is the power of building the email list, because then you can contact them for free. You don't have to get ads to get back in front of them. right?
Right.
So you can say, hey, you might want to check out, I was a recent guest on XYZ, podcast, and you can, watch it or listen to it here. And like all those things helps build that know, like, and trust with people who are initially, unknown to you. Right.
Right.
And so they may not have bought the first time out of the gate, but they might be looking for, okay, this seems legit. And as I continue to know and see her, I really like what she's doing. I like her message. I like her style. I definitely want to work with her. So maybe the next, the time you're ready to launch the second time, now you've got a warmed up audience and they're ready to buy. So your numbers, may be higher.
Right. And, I want to go back to this comment too about eventually quitting my job, because I think that's an important thing to put out there too. And, what I would say to that is, one, as nurses, we can typically, for the most part, most areas, we can always get another job, or you can kind of keep your foot in the door if you need to. Insurance is a big issue why people don't go all the way. Like if you have a partner, a spouse, or somebody that can cover you on your insurance, on their insurance, that's a big deal. But you want to feel like there's some stability. And Kimball had this for a while. So Kimball runs the IV hydration, and she was burning the candle at both ends. Like she was working 68 hours, 80 hours a week as an operating room manager. And then her IV hydration business was taking off, and concierge nursing business.
Two businesses.
All three. And she called me one day and she's just like, I'm exhausted. But she, was so afraid of losing her insurance. That was like the biggest thing. And the IV hydration business wasn't at a point where she could, pay all of her bills. So it was really in an in-between spot. And one, you have to recognize that sometimes it hurts before it feels better.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Always.
So she had to make a choice. And what she ended up doing was dropping her hours at the hospital. She started looking into insurance. Now she's got like a toe in the door still, which I think she, even took her toe out. But it was a process, and it's something that you want to be thoughtful about and make sure that you're not going to starve next month, that you're not going to live off peanut butter and jelly, and that you're not going to get evicted from your house. So having some sort of savings, I think, would help a lot there.
Yeah, and it's just planning, guys. Like, I mean, you make a plan. So there is a point, in my opinion, where you often have to actually quit the full-time job in order to have the time and put the effort. And it is kind of like you have a heck of a lot more urgency to do and follow through and put yourself out there and market yourself and get whatever it is, the service that you're trying to provide out and, packaged once you have an immediate need of, okay, well, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get paid. Right. So you can use that to your benefit. And I think there is there just literally are only so many hours in a day. And we get that a lot with people who are like, I just don't have time. And I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. What is it that you really want? Because if you continue to work 40 plus hours a week in your full-time job, when are you ever going to have time to scale, to devote to this business? You don't magically wake up and get more than 24 hours in the day. So we all have the same amount of time. The question is, where's your priority? You have to prioritize that. So you could do, if you have the opportunity, and in nursing, we all technically have this opportunity. It is a buffet of options. There are lots of ways. We're one of the few professions who can scale back in number of hours, part-time, PRN, all of those things, and still keep our foot in the door, like Katie was talking about, in order to help you, manage this transition. But there is a point where you have to choose, I'm going to do this. And then be focused and make that a priority. Otherwise, you literally nothing's going to change. You're going to keep working 40 hours a week, and you're always going to say, even next week, I still don't have enough time to grow my business. I still don't have enough time to invest in your business. Well, When is that going to change? Not until you scale back over here and devote more time, more hours over here to your business. Nothing will shift until you shift, until you decide how you're allocating your hours. And so you're right, the business is not going to grow itself. You have to be intentional. You have to put in the time and effort and work in order to grow that. And it may be where you literally can't do that while working a full-time job. And it is scary, I know. But guess what? As a entrepreneur myself for years, and being married to an entrepreneur, you can purchase your own insurance. It's expensive and it stinks, but you do have the option. So again, it's just weighing out what's more important. Do you want to stay tied to the job that gives you the insurance and the security and the, guaranteed paycheck? You can do that, but you can't also have this. It's one or the other. At some point, you got to transition and say, okay, this is how I really want to do nursing. This is what I really want to focus on. This is the type of nursing I really want to do. And at some point, you will have to choose.
Yes. Yeah, that choice, it is hard too. And insurance, it's one of those, I think, mindset issues too, because we all kind of do it, because you can certainly, the business can pay for your insurance and should pay for your insurance, and then it's all tax deductible. So, and yes, it's expensive. And, God, I wish there were better options out there, but but I pay for a lot of stupid things that, I'd much rather pay for my own insurance and be free of that full-time job and not have to deal with it than, the alternative. Plus it gives you the opportunity to make more money because, again, like you're saying, you don't have, the time to do anything, then you're in this kind of circular state. You're in a catch-22.
Yeah, you're living in circumstance. And so you are directly tying your income to the hours that you work at that specific job. And that's it. That's what you're tying your income to. You don't work, you don't get paid, right? Like that's what you're talking, but you're capped because they have decided what it is that's your value and what you're going to get paid per hour, right? So it's very different when that's the opportunity as a nursepreneur and in business. You can do consulting, you can do coaching, you can do online courses, you could do remote work. Like you don't even have to start your own business. Technically, you can work remotely, still have a nursing job, working remotely while you build your business. There's lots of options, but it comes down to how much do you want it and deciding if this is what you want, then I'm going to figure out a way to do it. And so you might have to shift what you're currently doing. Most people do, right? You got to take the leap.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, and I would definitely say, it's kind of like Goldilocks issue because you don't want to take the leap too soon. You don't want to take it too late. Yeah. It's going to be just right. And you can get hung up on when the moment is just right. But I think you'll know. It'll be that point where you're like, you know what, it's going to hurt. Yeah.
That's the moment.
I'm burning the candle at both ends. This business is stuck and it's not going to move forward unless I can add more of myself to it or, give it a good push. And the only way to do that is to devote more time to it.
Yeah. You're going to devote time and resources. And the percentage of time and resources, you get to choose that. So if you are going to devote less time, you're going to financially have to invest more to outsource things, or you're not going to move, right? Like you're just going to stay stuck where you are. You'll stay plateaued. And that could be at the gate, that you just never get out of the gate because you never had the time to do it and you're not willing to put the resources in to outsource it either. So you just stay put, nothing happens, right? You can decide that I really want to build this, but I do want it to be a certain level. And since I'm working full time, I have more income guaranteed, and I'm going to start outsourcing some things to try to build my audience or whatever you want to do, right? To build whatever it is that you want. But you're always going to be allocating time and resources, and the percentage of, if you allocate less resources, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to need to allocate more time of your time in order to make it happen. So it's just it's a balance. Like you get to decide that, but you're going to have to choose because you're never going to not put time and or resources in. It's a business. It's not a hobby. And yeah, I mean, it's up to you to decide when you're ready. But most people, you can stay not ready. You can get ready to get ready for years.
Yeah.
So you just got to decide what is most important. Doing what I say I want to do, helping the people I want to help, working in the way I want to work, or staying in the comfort zone of, and there is security in that, staying in the guaranteed paycheck. But, how is that affecting your relationships? How is it affecting your family life? How is it affecting you physically? How is it affecting you mentally and emotionally? If you're misaligned and really dread going to work every day, like that is a hard place to stay in for a long period of time. It's unhealthy in pretty much every aspect. So for some people, that's when they know, I just simply can't do this anymore. And I know I want to use my nursing skills and my expertise, and I can solve this problem. I can help people in this way. And that's when they choose to jump.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so we're in a half hour here.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, for Innergame. Again, if you have an Innergame issue that you're struggling with, or you've got a question about, like, why is it that I keep doing this? Why am I holding myself back? What do I do when I'm, stuck in the fear of, why won't I do the things I say I want to do? All those things are around Innergame. So feel free to post them in the group, and we are happy to, or, you can submit a hot seat if you want to hop on with us in Innergame. We can work through your issue specifically and help you kind of uncover what's behind it. What is the root of that? Because I can guarantee you, we say this all the time, don't we, Katie? I think you say 90%, and I'm like 99.8% of business problems are actually personal problems. They're actually Innergame mind gremlin issues, and we're happy to help you work through them. Coming from the fact that we've had those mind gremlins as well as the nurses that we've worked with. And so we're happy to help you work through them yourself. All right. We'll see you Innergame in 2 weeks.
All right, guys.
Yeah. We'll see you in the group. Bye guys.